So I was just talking to my partner about just retirement and how that lands with different people. Um, 57 years old, and definitely occurs to me that I'm driving toward retirement like everyone else. I guess I'd like to retire a little earlier than 67. Um, but what's interesting about retirement is we put so much energy into thinking how our life will be different in retirement, how we'll have exciting adventures and new activities. And there's going to be a reality that we'll have more time to wrench in those things than while we're working full time. But I can tell you, I was in a men's group with a bunch of guys, and most of the guys, probably like 60%, were already retired. And really, they were in their 60s, a couple in their 70s. And they were just totally in the situation where they were seeming lost. They had retired and didn't have a whole lot of new activities in their life. It seemed like a lot of them, the focus was their grandkids and all that. And some were doing occasional trips for travel. These guys in the group were pretty wealthy for the most part, too. A lot of them had, decent money and seemed to not have any money worries. But interestingly enough, a lot of them were not in the best shape as far as having things to keep their minds mentally in tune. So that struck me as interesting. And I was talking to my girlfriend this morning. We were talking about retirement and how so many people plan and expect their life to be so different in retirement. But when they get to retirement, they don't have the muscle or the bandwidth or the experience in doing things that are different and interesting. Now, there's a reality that while we're working, if you work 30 some odd hours to 40, 60 hours a week, do you have that time to learn how to play pickleball or pick up golf or pick up hobbies or take up painting or woodworking or more hunting? So in other words, if you're retired and you don't have like almost like the mental muscle to take on new projects, if you haven't practiced taking on new projects and activities and things like that, even while you're in your working years, kind of what makes you think you're going to have a drive to do that in retirement? In this group I was in, definitely was interesting because these guys really seem to lack a creativity for what their free time should entail. A lot of them were readers. They were business leaders in their respective businesses, but once they were retired, they were just kind of lost and clueless, and that was sad to me. So, what occurred to me and my girlfriend is that it's really important to kind of stretch your muscle and learn to wrench in new things in your existing life. Hey, good morning. Um, yeah, and feel free to give me a shout out wherever you're from. I'd love to hear where you're from this morning on this Memorial Day. Um, but retirement, I think we can develop and stretch muscles of learning new things, exploring new activities, exploring new adventures, and in trying to kind of get our giddy up before retirement starts. Okay. I love seeing the comments here. Let me know where you're from. I've had visitors here from New Zealand before. Had someone from Morocco a week ago, or about 2 weeks ago. I had someone from France. So, um, just let me know where you're from if you don't mind in this live feed. So I'm talking a little bit about retirement and how I, it occurs to me that it's important before retirement to start developing the muscles, and it's hard to wrench in time to do the new activities. Like here's a for instance, pickleball. At least try to get some time in to learn these things, or learning a new language, right? Um, and so you're stretching these muscles of newness, of neuroplasticity, where you're learning things, you're getting in the routine of trying new things, learning new groups. It's very popular on YouTube now. People that are literally traveling, slow traveling overseas, and part of that is involved in learning a new language. Say you go to Portugal for 3 months once you're retired. Well, Portuguese is tough, and learning a new language in your 50s, 60s, and 70s is a real genuine challenge. Hi, good morning, everybody. Also, my love language is, if you like your content here, want to see more of what I'm doing, feel free to subscribe to my channel. Most of my content is kind of leveling up for the man who's been through difficult trials, midlife trials, divorce or loss. And that's most of the audience I go for, but I'm happy to have other folks. I realize I do have a lot of women in this group that comment on my posts, so I appreciate all of you guys, even if you're not a guy going through, the pains of divorce or reinventing your life. I still love seeing all of you guys. So let me know where you're from, please, and feel free to subscribe to this channel. So it's important to start stretching our muscles before retirement, because like I said, that men's group I was in, nice folks, but they were really lost. So it's almost like they didn't have a whole lot of plans for the retirement. So here they are landing in retirement. It's supposed to be this grand scheme. Then all of a sudden they really didn't know what to do with their time. And there's got to be some degree of planning ahead for retirement, of planning ahead of what you want your life, designing what your life looks like in 15 years, down to the finest detail. There was a coach that my girlfriend had worked with, and he had her write down what she wanted her life to look like at 65 or 70, and just down to the finest detail, like, are you living in a villa in south of France, and what do the smells smell like, what do the sounds sound like, what are the festivals that you go to, and the foods that you eat and that you cook, and the people that you're cavorting with and hanging out with, in the music and the festivals. So these are things that we can do now, is just kind of, it's almost called future vision casting, that you write out what you want your life to look like in your 70s for retirement. And then you can really, on a regular basis, get that sense of what it feels like. And your life will start to steer in that direction, because you'll get a passion for that place that you want to be when you're retired. So that's one way to plan a retirement. I think some people, when they are retired, they just wait for the next grandkid to come along. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's great. But I've also seen this thing where people literally will move to where the grandkids are. So say, for instance, I've seen people that move to where the grandkids are, and unfortunately their children get new work in a different city. So imagine this: you're in your late 60s or your 70s, you've moved to say outskirts of Chicago to follow the grandkids, and then all of a sudden your kids pick up and they move to Colorado, and they take the grandkids with them. There you are in a new city that you moved with your to be with your grandkids, and all of a sudden you don't have supports. You don't have the kids and grandkids there, and you have to either follow your kids and grandkids, or you have to figure out a support system and a life in that new city that you are chasing the grandkids. So I don't have grandkids yet, but it's very important to me to not follow the grandkids, but realize that that's what airports and flights across the country are made for, and to visit grandkids and to foster a good relationship that way. And I realize some people want to be integral to their grandkids' lives, and that's cool. But I've definitely seen and worked with people who have moved, literally chasing the grandkids and the kids, and then they up and go somewhere else. And there you are in retirement years, when you need your health might be changing. You need supports, and there's not supports there. And the other trap with that is if you've sold your home that's already paid for to follow the grandkids, and then you have a mortgage. So that can be a trap. Back to retirement planning. Retirement planning, of course, should definitely be a financial concern, and I think that's what most people do with their retirement is they plan financially. But coming up with a future vision of what your retirement should look like is just as important as the financial plan. Why is that important? Well, if you land in retirement and you don't have a whole lot of ideas of what you want to do or the activities you want to be a part of, you drift. And the danger with drift is that we sit in our house, get depressed, we lack connection, and we lack drive, we lack excitement, we lack passion. So it's important to come up with a future vision of what your retirement looks like besides just the financial plan for retirement. All right, so I think I'm going to sign off. I appreciate everyone that touched base. I love seeing you guys from different places to pop in and say hi and good morning. I hope you have a wonderful Memorial Day. And if you like the content here, go ahead and subscribe. And I hope to see you again soon.